Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Cathy McGrath, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. And today's issue of the Neepawa Banner and Press is for Friday, June 27th, 2025. And right here on the front page, Neepawa's class of 2025 takes center stage. Neepawa Area Collegiate proudly celebrated its graduating class of 2025 on Tuesday, June 24th. The day was packed with memorable events, kicking off with a traditional grand march and heartfelt ceremony at the Yellowhead Center, where students received their diplomas and scholarships were announced. In the evening, graduates took part in the Safe Grad event, ensuring a fun and secure celebration for all. A highlight of the graduation festivities was a bus parade that wound its way through the community. 3 buses filled with graduates brought joy and cheer to residents at the Country Meadows Care Home, Neepawa Middle School, HMK, KK2, Elks Manor, Aspen Lee, and a walk down Main Street. This year marks a significant milestone for 135 graduates from Neepawa Area Collegiate. Congratulations to all the graduates on this incredible achievement and best wishes for their future endeavors. And a place of rest and tranquility. Enhancements to Veterans Memorial completed in Neepawa, and pictured is a completed redesign around the Veterans Memorial at Riverside Cemetery by Casper Wareham. Cemeteries are a place of peaceful remembrance. Recent upgrades to a portion of Neepawa's Riverside Cemetery have now enhanced that feeling. This was the overhaul of the Neepawa Legion Ladies Auxiliary Monument, which is a tribute to honor all veterans who served their country. Enhancements were also made to the area surrounding it. It's undergone a significant upgrade, said Cathy Jasnick, Legion Ladies Auxiliary member and committee chair for the project. The upgrades have been several years in the making. Jasnick added, "We're really proud of it. It really highlights the veterans area." The first portion of the work began in approximately 2018 with fundraising efforts by the Legion Ladies Auxiliary to pay for the memorial enhancements. The Davidson Memorial, also known as the Stone Angel, was also cleaned. Then came the landscaping, which was designed by Glenda McPhee. Meetings with the town of Neepawa staff and councillors were held to discuss the project, which included the implementation of a cement pad, adjustments to the positioning of the memorial stone, and more. The town offered to readjust the memorial stone to face the roadway, as well as installing a higher base to enhance its visibility, said Jasnick. The town also agreed to install the pad in front of the memorial. The cement pad itself is also of significance, as the materials used by the cemetery staff are all from the perpetual care stone cores that were removed from the grave sites during the overhaul of the grounds. Much appreciation goes out to Matt and his staff that designed and installed the hundreds of cores in the heat of summer. It is satisfying to know that a part of the history of the cemetery is still being used to beautify the grounds, Jasnick enthused. Topping off the overhaul and adding to the overall look of the site are the following items: a stone bench provided by the town and paid for by the auxiliary, flower pots from the town with flowers planted by the auxiliary, 3 Japanese silk lilac trees from the town, and 3 white potentilla bushes from the auxiliary. The site upgrades were completed about a month ago, and we just planted the flowers a couple of weeks ago, said Jasnick. Providing a final comment, Jasnick added, "The collaboration between the town and the Legion Auxiliary has created a restful, tranquil spot in an area amongst the many veteran markers. We hope people will take a moment to pause and reflect and enjoy the serenity." And since we're reading this on NACTV, the highlights of the week from NACTV. There's a number of new programs this week, and a couple mentioned are the Beautiful Plains Grant Luncheon and the Kiwanis Club of Neepawa. And a reminder that community announcements on NACTV are only $2 per day, and it airs 2 to 3 times a day. And on to the editorial, Right in the Center by Ken Waddell. When a person reviews the range of Manitoba news, it becomes obvious that some very basic changes are needed. There are many clues leading to the need for change. Here is a list. Go into any urban center, especially large ones, and the presence of drug dealers and addicts is painfully obvious. Areas of Winnipeg, Brandon, Thompson, and other locations have drugged and drunk people obvious in the streets. It used to be a criminal offense to be in such a condition. That is no longer the case. We have cases reported to us every week about rural theft, sometimes accompanied by guns and threats of violence. There was a recent murder case in Brandon, and the amount of sympathy in the court and the media for the murderers was astonishing. I don't care how rough a life you have had or how many mental health issues you may have, there is no excuse for violence unless it's a matter of self-defense. The recent Brandon case didn't seem to have a self-defense aspect to it. If a person goes to an event at the Canada Life Centre, Winnipeg Jets Arena, there's a good chance your vehicle will be smashed into and items taken. At least once a month, we see news releases about chronic violent offenders being released into areas of community with the warning that they are likely to reoffend. There is often a stated provision that women and children are especially at risk. Community leaders from Indigenous and other communities have publicly said that this catch and release system of justice isn't working. Community planners wonder why people don't want to be in downtown Brandon or Winnipeg. It should be obvious. People who live there don't feel safe. People who visit there definitely don't feel safe, and there's ample proof as to why that is so. There has to be some solutions. From what I understand, more and more people are being asked to administer drug overdose antidote injections. That simply boggles my mind. Apparently drug users and addicts know that if they OD, someone is likely to bail them out with an antidote injection. I am tempted to say, let them die. Of all the times in Manitoba history where we have life pretty good, it's this era. Education, albeit less than standards we would like, is readily available. Food is still readily available, and if a person shops and cooks wisely, it's affordable. Before anybody gets too worked about that statement, please examine your shopping list, and if it includes regularly purchased $5 cups of coffee, cases of bottled water, and huge bags of pet food, then please go and re-examine your shopping cart. Roads are pretty rough in places, but pretty good shape relative to 30 to 40 years ago. There's a lot to be thankful for. If, after all that, you are in a bad mental state, then let me ask, have you volunteered lately for any groups or organizations in your community? Have you picked up even one piece of trash? Have you even considered getting involved with a church or a place of worship? There are lots available, and some of them are even friendly. If you don't have a job, you should have one. If you don't like your job, then make the moves necessary to get a more suitable one. But what about the hardcore criminals and drug addicts? I say put them in an institution until, or if, they can get their heads straightened out so they can conduct themselves in a way that doesn't involve violence, drug dealing, or causing misery to other people. Quite frankly, there are people who have proven that they don't deserve to ever see the outside world again. And while that is sad, maybe being in an institution would be best for everyone, including them. Call it tough love if you like, but it could also be called common sense, as our current system isn't working all that well. And the usual disclaimer, the views expressed in this column are the writer's personal views and not to be taken as being the view of the newspaper staff. And Home Buddies by Rita Friesen. And how does your garden grow? The garden spaces in my front and backyard bring me much joy. Some frustrations, naturally, but mostly joy. The front garden is a narrow strip where the hedge once grew. The soil is loamy. Peas and beans thrive in the full sunshine and rich earth. Our end of town, and I'm certain other sections as well, has an abundance of jackrabbits, big, healthy, hungry, lop-eared varmints. As the peas poke their head above the dirt, I begin my fencing. I've got it down to a science. The peas themselves grow on chicken fencing, and then I surround the compound with another row of 18 inches high fiber fencing. Rebar posts anchor the corners with reinforcements at the half and quarter way. So these corner posts are about 3 feet high. With my yard and driveway a shortcut for the neighbor youth, I tie red-orange safety tape on them to ensure safe passage in the dark. I have solar lights at each of the 4 corners, and as well, thankfully it looks neat and intentional to keep our rabbits out and the travelers safe. One giant step and I'm in to hoe and soon harvest. The backyard has 2 raised wooden beds. These are netted to keep the cabbage, cauliflower, and broccoli safe from pests without the use of chemicals. Right now, the plants are rather lanky, but I hold out hope. Along the south fence is a row of raspberries, the standard red, and a patch of delicious golden ones. They are also planted in such a way that they can be covered with netting to keep the birds out and allow the bees in. Beside them are several Saskatoon bushes. They are young and have a few ripening fruits showing. They too, in their time, will be protected from birds. On the southwest fence line are my strawberries, netted. The soil around them is liberally sprinkled with crushed egg cells, one recommendation to prevent the slugs from enjoying the fruits of my labor. Last year was the first time I fought slugs, slimy little creatures. Last year was the first time I did not rake the lawn, but left it natural, the exact habitat for slugs. So trust me, this fall I will rake the backyard thoroughly. The old apple tree is failing. A sturdy stepladder supports the lower fruit-filled branches. The young apple trees are showing some fruit, and I will watch so that no branches are permanently disfigured. Along the east fence, 3 hascaps are growing nicely, also positioned that when they are bearing well, they can be netted. I'm certain that a view from above would make the yard look like a secret garden. Between the 2 garages, under a sunshade, are mineral tubs. These are home to radishes, carrots, beets, lettuce, and tomatoes. I have also found a space for a few peppers, potatoes, and spaghetti squash. Where many folks have flowers under the windows on the west side of the house, I have watermelon and cantaloupe growing. There is, for me, healing and strength in gardening and watching the garden grow. I am blessed. And Faithfully Yours by Neil Stroshine. God's Response to Crisis Times, Part 3. This week we conclude our study of the life of the prophet Jonah and our focus on God's response to the problems that Jonah, by his disobedience, brought upon himself. When we left him last week, Jonah was in the belly of a fish that God created to rescue him from the waters of the Mediterranean and take him back to the western shore of the Mediterranean. It wasn't a dignified way to travel, and it wasn't comfortable. But 3 days in that environment gave Jonah time to think, pray, and decide what he would do when he next heard God speaking to him. At journey's end, the fish deposited Jonah unceremoniously on dry land and then disappeared. Jonah was left by himself, but he wasn't alone. God was with him, and God's call was just as clear. Go to Nineveh. But this time, Jonah didn't argue. He did what he knew he should have done when he first heard God's voice, and the results were dramatic. The people of Nineveh heard and believed the message Jonah gave them. They turned from their sins, and God spared them from the destruction he had said he would bring upon them. Was Jonah pleased to see what God did? Absolutely not. He was mad at everyone, at the people of Nineveh for how they had responded to his message, at God for showing them mercy, and at himself for having put his own people in danger of being attacked and conquered by the people of Nineveh. His anger revealed his real problem. In all periods of human history, we will find stories of people who, driven by personal passions, fierce nationalism, political ambition, or religious zeal, have convinced themselves and a few faithful followers that they know what is best for those they lead. They will identify problems and propose instant, radical solutions to them. They will not listen to those who tell them that their ideas will cause irreparable harm to the people they are supposed to help. And when confronted with the long-term damage their policies have caused, they stubbornly refuse to back down. They would rather bring those they lead to the brink of destruction than admit that they were wrong. Does God care when these things happen? Yes, he does. Will he forgive people and nations who repent and seek his mercy? Yes, he will. Will he show us how to get our lives and the life of our nation back on track? Yes, he will. Will the recovery happen overnight? No. In fact, it may take a generation or two before we'll see the full recovery for which we hope and pray. But what if we can learn from our mistakes we have made? We might be able to avoid repeating them in the days ahead. On this Canada Day weekend, I urge all Canadians to ask God to show us how, each in our own way, we have helped create the social, economic, political, moral, and spiritual problems our country is facing. God will hear our prayers. He will show us what we have done and where we need to repent and seek His mercy. Don't put this off another day. Do it for yourself. Do it for your family. Do it for your community, your country, and your world. Do it even if you are the only one you know who will take this step. God will reward your faith and help you survive and thrive in these chaotic times. Excuse me, please. And Gladstone Cattle Market Report by Blaine Houston. The market was still really strong this week in all types of classes. We ended up with another good run this week, seeing lots of butcher cattle this week. We had around 650 butcher cattle. Plainer type cattle are still seeing discounts. We sold 970 head of cattle through the ring in Gladstone, Manitoba yesterday. Cows and bulls sold with soaring demand. Feeding type cows and heiferettes are still selling strong. High yielding cows still traded between 210 and 2.26. Feeding type cows are ranging between 220 to 248. Bulls traded strong, 245 to 261. Some highlights from the sale: 441-pound red steers traded for $7. A group of crossbred steers weighed 678 and brought $537.50. 1187-pound fed black and red steers brought $3.04. On the heifer side of things, red exotic heifers weighed 583 and traded for $5.45. A set of black and red heifers weighed 676 and made $4.76. A set of red and black heifers weighed 784 pounds and cashed in for $4.24 a pound. Hopefully that gives you an idea of how the market played out. Cattle producers, we have only one sale left before the summer break. The next sale is July 8th. If you have cattle to market, please pre-book and let us do our best to market your livestock. And we have a couple of thumbs up and thumbs down. Where a flag is to be flown, the Canadian flag must be the first choice. If a second is necessary, maybe the provincial flag. Point is, every other conceivable flag pales to the top choice, and that's a thumbs up from Jim Krasaniak. And a thumbs up to Neepawa Banner and Press columnists Rita Friesen and Delcy Martin for their columns in the June 20th edition of the paper. They were touching, thoughtful, and informative. I appreciated them very much. In conjunction, a thumbs up to the thoughtful words shared in letters to the editor, such as those from Neepawa Pride and Madela Bello. Very well said, by Casper Werhan of Neepawa. And we do have some more letters. Editor's note: some letters to the editor have expressed concern that a letter they didn't agree with was allowed to be published in the Neepawa Banner and Press, or that it was published without any comment from the paper. While regular columns, such as mine, may carry a disclaimer, we don't usually attach such a disclaimer to letters to the editor. And the Maple Leaf Forever. The only flags that should be displayed on public property are the Canadian national flag and provincial flags, certainly not representations of various ideologies. Individuals can display whatever flag or symbols they like on their private property, but the only truly inclusive flag that unites us all is the Canadian maple leaf. From Damien Dempsey of Arden. And you don't speak for the majority. I was startled and very disappointed to read Bryce Parrott's recent letter in the Neepawa Banner and Press. While the opening few sentences initially seemed like a good faith argument to celebrate our Filipino community, it quickly became clear that the true purpose was to make false claims about the LGBTQIA+ community. The letter contained 6 sentences pertaining to why we should fly the Filipino flag, and 19 sentences about how the writer feels that the LGBTQIA+ community are confused, suicidal, and pose a threat to society and children. What's even more concerning is those views were platformed without any note from the paper's editorial team. The writer nods to the higher rates of suicide in the LGBTQIA+ people, but is dismissive of the known fact that acceptance and respect lowers those rates. He also claims that many in the community are uncomfortable with the ideology of the LGBTQIA+, and that pride flag does not represent the community of Neepawa. As someone who was raised here and has returned to live and work in Neepawa, I love this community. I love the people and the work I do here. I don't believe that Bryce speaks for the majority of the community in his letter, which is, at best, misinformed and at worst, actively harmful. My experience here has been that the Neepawa is a loving and supportive community. And while no community is free of prejudice, that the majority of people here act from a place of acceptance and respect. That is why I'm even more disappointed to see this kind of widely debunked anti-LGBTQIA+ rhetoric platformed in a local paper without any comment. I have seen many other articles and letters tagged with a note that the writer's opinions are their own and not reflective of the values of the Neepawa Banner and Press. This letter is published without any such comment. The opinions published last week did not reflect facts, and I certainly can hope they don't reflect the true spirit of the majority of the community and to the writer's initial thoughts about celebrating the Filipino community during Filipino Heritage Month. I say absolutely. Why not also fly the Filipino flag during June, as well as the Pride flag, instead of using pretend support for the Filipino community to harm the LGBTQIA+ community members? Why not instead reflect how lucky we are to have so much to celebrate in June? By Emma Ball from Neepawa. And I might as well consider with the letters. There's more letters on page 17. A letter, new arena, new school, perhaps two birds with one stone. As of the 2021 census, Neepawa is the 13th fastest growing community in Canada. A vibrant community, one of the brightest futures in the country. The world is at our feet. Should we not be looking beyond the minimal and instead maximize the benefits of the possibilities in front of us? Nothing lasts forever. Let's build a legitimate Canadian ice hockey arena with seats on both sides, with a walking track and an adjacent hall now. We needed a new school yesterday, so would it not make economic sense to build between the existing golf clubhouse and the proposed new school and take away some of the need and costs? The gym and basketball court in the new school could be enhanced with government cooperation to accommodate both students and the general public. Bigger and better for the students, and a huge construction saving for the new rec center. Two birds with one stone. The school could be joined to the arena so the kids could walk from the classrooms to the arena or the hall and take advantage of events and facilities not provided in the school. Win-win, financially and functionally. In Prime Minister Mark Carney's world of build better and build now, one would think that grants for such projects will never be better and with less red tape than ever before. We have been bulging at the seams for years now. If the governments are serious about supporting the Canadian steel and aluminum industries and creating jobs, is there a more qualified place to start building than right here? Is there a window here that we could take advantage of? Let's go. From Ross McBride of Neepawa. And some more letters. Letter, unhappy with the painted sidewalks. I'm writing this objection letter in response to the painting of the town of Neepawa sidewalk in front of Arts Forward. I have been a resident and taxpayer for 52 years, living beside what was originally Neepawa First Baptist Church and now Arts Forward. I am very unhappy to see the sidewalk painted in pride colors and feel it could be a conflict of interest with the manager, who is a town councillor, and the town of Neepawa for approving this painting. I feel if Pride Group has rights for painting town sidewalk and flying their flags there, our Filipino community members, who are a very large population of our town, should have the rights for a flag hanging there and their painting in front of the door entrance. The Arts Forward is highly used by our Filipino population, and I feel that they should be recognized. This is my concern, and I ask taxpayers living by Arts Forward and area to please support me in my concern. Painting the sidewalk will definitely not improve the sidewalk conditions in Neepawa. From Terry Smith of Neepawa. And an editor's note, this letter was received last week but could not be printed due to lack of available space. And now we have another letter from Bryce Parrott, a letter to the editor, a misunderstanding. It seems there has been a misunderstanding. A couple of weeks ago, I wrote a letter addressed to Neepawa's town council about switching the pride flag to a Filipino flag along Highway 16. I write this June 24th, and there is still no Filipino flag there, and I still stand by what is written. The town of Neepawa should not be promoting controversial special interest groups. Some labeled my letter as hate speech. I felt my message was not written from hate, but rather love and concern. A person can disagree with another while still loving. I really do believe that the pride ideology is harmful to those who participate in it, in particular to our youth and children. We should not let it be so openly promoted without some critical thought. I would like to use a personal story to illustrate the necessity for this ideology to be checked. I have a few heartbreaking stories from the experience I had working with children and youth over the years, but cannot share them for legal reasons. What I can do is refer you to a public case about a detransitioner named Chloe Cole. Not all cases are the same, but here's one. The title of the interview is The Wounds That Won't Heal. Detransitioner Chloe Cole, EP 319. It can be accessed on any podcast platform and YouTube. She was not happy with her body and was encouraged to undergo a gender transformation at the age of 12. They were brutal surgeries that hindered her health. After some time, she realized she wanted to have kids someday. Too late, she had done irreversible damage. She has had considerable regret and grief. She is stunned that somebody could let her go through with something like this. She laments, "I was just a kid. How was I supposed to know?" It is completely normal for teenagers to have a feeling of not fitting in. The first solution should not be something extreme like surgery. Perhaps they just need a bit of time to adjust to puberty or to be reaffirmed that you are a woman even if you don't look like the magazines. I would encourage all to listen to this, particularly if you don't understand why people would go to such heights to oppose the ideology. The benefits of pride are not as clear as some have led us to believe. I wonder how many people even know about things like transition regret. Something should be done. Let's talk about this and not be so quick to throw up flags on our businesses regarding things that are not fully understood. And again, that letter is from Bryce Parrott. Using free speech as a cover. Government protects speech. Newspapers and businesses choose which speech they find acceptable. If a letter to the editor was explicitly racist, would you find it acceptable to publish it in the banner? If you wouldn't, then it also applies to homophobic and transphobic letters. Waddell in his column last week said, "This is a cover for don't shoot the messenger. This is a cover for the banner's mistake in publishing the homophobic letter on June 13th. In this case, the messenger doesn't provide fact-checking for a dangerously wrong viewpoint. Then the messenger is approving without question that viewpoint to be seen and heard by the community. Of course, the banner did have the right to publish the letter. It also had the privilege to suffer the consequences." By Arden Rain from Neepawa, Manitoba. And I think that's the last of the letters, so we can go back to news. Oh, a little bit of news from Helen's Kitchen, from Helen Drysdale. Strawberry season. Curly locks, while thou be mine, thou shalt not wash dishes, nor yet feed the swine, but sit in a cushion and sew a fine seam, and feed upon strawberries, sugar, and cream. There's nothing quite like the first strawberries of summer. When I was a little girl, my family would go pick wild strawberries on the sand plains west of Saint Lazare, Manitoba. They were tiny, but oh so tasty. Strawberries are grown in all provinces of Canada, with the largest areas of productions in Quebec, 36%, Ontario, 32%, British Columbia, 15%, and Nova Scotia, 8%. There are 30 berry special groups of farmers in Manitoba with U-Pick strawberry farms. These U-Pick farm strawberries have an intense flavor, far superior to anything that was shipped here in a clamshell from south of us. Fun fact, over 53% of 7 to 9-year-olds picked strawberries as their favorite fruit. And strawberry tips, unlike other fruits, strawberries don't continue to ripen after being picked, so choose only red ones when picking. Keep fresh strawberries in the fridge unwashed for 2 or 3 days. Wash strawberries before hulling them to prevent them from absorbing too much water. And she has included 2 strawberry dessert recipes that look pretty good. And Neepawa RCMP investigating a rural home invasion by Owen Devereaux. A pair of intruders who had allegedly shot a firearm towards a house are caught on video during an attempted home invasion in the RM of Glenella, Lansdowne. The search is underway for a pair of suspects wanted in connection with an attempted home invasion in the RM of Glenella, Lansdowne. Neepawa RCMP responded to an incident on a rural property at around 1:05 a.m. on Thursday, June 19th. Officers were informed that a pair of masked suspects forced their way into a house and were confronted by the homeowner, who was armed. RCMP report the two home invaders immediately fled the property, but they did use a firearm of their own to shoot a bullet into the side of the home as they escaped. The shot caused minor damage, but no one was injured. Police said they believe this to be a random incident. The two suspects fled the scene in a pickup truck, described as a GMC, with a white roof and hood and dark-colored sides. The truck is believed to have traveled east along Provincial Road 261. This is a very concerning incident. Our officers are working to identify the suspects so that they can be arrested and charged for this violent crime. We urge all residents in the area to immediately call 911 if they see any suspicious activity on their property and are concerned for their safety, said Sergeant Andrew Cohen of the Spruce Plains RCMP. Anyone with information on this home invasion is asked to call the Neepawa detachment of the Spruce Plains RCMP at 204-476-7340. As well, people can contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477 or online at www.manitobacrimestoppers.com. And the Neepawa Rotary donates to the Yellowhead Center. The Rotary Club of Neepawa recently donated $3,000 to the Yellowhead Center to assist with the development of an accessible washroom for the facility. Pictured here is Rotary Treasurer Murray Newton and Crystal Rani, Yellowhead Center Administrator. The money came from the combination of the annual book sale and online auction operated by our local Rotary Club members. Throughout the year, Rotary raises funds, then distributes to a variety of local charities. And meet the candidates for the Neepawa Town Council by-election. A by-election has been called in the town of Neepawa to fill one vacant council seat. Two individuals, Dave Clark and Sherry Grant, have put their names forward and are seeking the position. Although both are already well-known and well-regarded individuals within the community, the Banner and Press still felt it was important to introduce the candidates to the community. Voting in the by-election will take place on Wednesday, July 16th, between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. at the Town of Neepawa Civic Administration Offices, 275 Hamilton Street, Neepawa, Manitoba. And the candidates, Dave Clark. What inspired you to put your name up for council? It's something I had considered previously, but there were professional commitments, so it just wasn't a good time for me. But now I'm in a position where I can spend the necessary time focused on council, and to be quite honest, a by-election is a pretty good way to test the waters and see if I can make a difference. What previous experience, personal background, do you have that you think brings value to the position? I grew up here in Neepawa, and my children grew up here, so I've been involved with a lot of the local sports organizations, minor baseball being one, minor hockey another. I've been involved with the Neepawa Titans and the Yellowhead Center Board, some pretty good organization, and that's given me a little bit of background on how things work, what the protocols are, and some challenges we face locally. I think I can use that past experience on council. I think I do have something to offer. What are the local topics, issues you think council should be working for? In essence, what do you think the priority should be for the next few years? Well, obviously, infrastructure is a huge dynamic on what the town does. The current state of our streets is also an issue, and with our new influx of families coming into Neepawa, affordable housing is probably a big thing that needs to be addressed. We need to ensure that Neepawa is an affordable place to live as well. The town has done a lot of good things and had to make some tough decisions, but there is still a lot to be done, and I'd like to be part of assisting in getting there. And Sherry Grant. What inspired you to put your name up for council? I decided to run in the by-election upon recognizing a need in the community. I have been a councillor before, so my learning curve is not steep in a relatively small amount of time. I was living out of the town of Neepawa last election, so could not participate. This is a great opportunity to get back to the table. What previous experience, personal background do you have that you think brings value to the position? Since my last term on council, I have completed my university degree with a 4-year major in economics and a minor in business and political science. I have a very good understanding of the position and what is required to be a councillor. I am a hard-working, reasonable individual with a great deal of common sense. What are the local topics, issues you think the council should be working on? In essence, what do you think the priorities should be for the next few years? Issues of the day seem to be the same as they were the last time I was on council: housing, infrastructure, streets, etc. We continue to grow at a rapid pace, and there is never enough money to do all that is needed at once. We need to spend wisely where there is the greatest need, not only for today, but for tomorrow. I look forward to the opportunity to serve my community once again. And Neepawa Town Council Briefs, June 17th, by Joshua Jackson. It's summer in Neepawa, with the temperature on the rise. So is the action within our local town council. Here's what you missed from the June 17th meeting. The Neepawa Town Council accepted a tender from Zenith Paving to complete the paving of Southwest 341415 for $1,777,693.67 plus GST. The project spans Hamilton Street from Broadway Avenue to the quarter section line to the new hospital. It will be a curb and gutter paved street accompanied by a paved path and a roundabout. The project is coming in slightly under budget, and any savings will be carried over for a road to the potential new school in Neepawa. Council also accepted a tender from Mason Construction to install asphalt paving on Isabel Street and sections of Adelaide Street, 2nd Avenue, and to complete other predetermined patching projects for $346,978.44. These are significant street repairs which do not cover the infrastructure underneath the roads. Denise Arquette said the town of Neepawa has been busy picking away and wrapping up projects. He noted the Main Street drain from Brown Avenue towards the hill is complete. Staff are working on the Mill Street drainage project, which goes west from Mountain Avenue to 1st Avenue, to help drain water and alleviate damage. Staff have been busy marking trees that were acquired through the Government of Canada's 2 Billion Trees program. Trees will be planted on boulevards where the gaps for missing trees exist. Manitoba Hydro has begun work on Isabel project, the former Eastview Lodge property, servicing the lots. From there, Neepawa can move on to paving. Councillor Yvonne Sisley gave credit to Marianne Clark for organizing this year's Rural Week for student doctors. The town has been asked to bring in more students next year as part of initiative and will host 2 weeks of the program instead of 1. Councillor Sisley and Parrott attended a doctor recruitment and retention committee meeting and reported that they are looking for an obstetrician and anesthesiologist. The committee is working very hard and has multiple doctors on their radar. Cycle Manitoba recently hosted advanced bike skills training at the High Life Back 40, where they flew out an instructor from Ontario, which was a huge hit. Town Council announced that this year's day camp is full, with 3 instructors guiding the camps. The town of Neepawa unveiled its Canada Day plans. A free swim will take place at the Neepawa pool from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m., and the co-op bike parade will take place at 2:30 p.m. at Riverbend Park. There will be kids' activities, an obstacle course, face painting, and temporary tattoos in the park from 3:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. The evening will wrap up with live music from 7:30 p.m. until dusk and fireworks. Councillor Nadeau attended the Regional Library Committee meeting and reported that the Neepawa Library was not able to obtain a summer student. However, through their partnership with the Westman Regional Library, they were able to allocate 90 hours of programming for the summer. The Neepawa Library reported over 50 kids participated in the Canadian Children's Book Week, which featured a guest author. The Neepawa Library has also been granted library cards to wildlife evacuees who are in the town. Bylaws and correspondence. The town of Neepawa received a letter from Prairie Mountain Health stating they've been granted $5,000 for their Echoes of the Paddle project, an initiative where the town purchases kayaks, paddles, and life jackets, which will be available for rental and use by the public. They are also hopeful about a grant to install kayak launches at Riverbend Park. The town council had a third reading on Bylaw 323525 about establishing rates for solid waste and recycling. Special Service Plan, as well as Bylaw 323425, which is a levy of taxes for 2025. Both of these motions have now been passed and will be enacted. The Neepawa Town Council reminds you that with summertime here, campers and trailers cannot be left on the streets all day. Campers have a set time to be parked on the streets. Having campers on the streets could impact the fire department's ability to fight fires and access roads if an emergency occurred. Concerns raised by a municipality related to Trans-Canada R-Cut proposal. This was submitted. Editor's note, this submission was sent to the Banner and Press as a letter to the editor. However, to the length of the content being much more than our usual 400-word preference, and the Banner editorial staff not wishing to edit out any information in order to fill the letter requirements, it instead is being printed as an op-ed piece. The Council of the Municipality of North Cyprus Langford would like to express its strong opposition to the proposed restricted crossing U-turn, RCUT, design at the intersection of Highway 1 and Highway 5. This concern is not isolated to Council alone. A very high percentage of our residents also oppose the RCUT design for a number of valid and serious reasons. Our municipality is home to large-scale agricultural operations, which result in significantly higher volumes of oversized farm equipment and transport trucks than in urban areas. The majority of the traffic at Highway 1 and 5 intersection flows north and south, not east and west. Time is money in farming, and even a small delay has big impact. While the Manitoba Infrastructure, MIT, traffic models suggest a net zero time loss, these are theoretical results which do not reflect real-world seasonal pressures like seeding and harvest. Safety risks remain. Although the RCUT has been labeled the safest option presented, Council believes this does not eliminate risk within the 2-kilometer stretch of the design. In fact, forcing large farm equipment and trucks to cross 3 to 4 lanes and shoulders to reach the U-turn area, only to then cross another 3 to 4 lanes to return to Highway 5 northbound, is both complicated and unsafe. These kinds of movements are not suitable for heavy, slow-moving equipment. Impact on municipal infrastructure. Over time, the rerouting of large volumes of traffic, especially heavy equipment and transport trucks, will cause additional wear and tear on local municipal roads. This added strain on infrastructure will, without a doubt, translate into higher costs for the local taxpayer. Council cannot support a design that burdens residents financially. Concerns about the trucking industry. Minister Naylor informed Council that the trucking industry has not raised significant concerns with the RCUT design. However, from our perspective, that does not align with the experiences of our residents. Time and time again, we've seen transport trucks lost within Carberry or stranded along municipal roads. The trucking industry is changing, and local knowledge is not always part of the equation for today's drivers. Lack of data and transparency. Since the beginning of the consultation process, Council has asked multiple times for key data points, traffic counts, and collision statistics and comparable RCUT outcomes from other regions, particularly Saskatoon. Unfortunately, those questions remain unanswered. To clarify, these questions were raised early in the process. Only one traffic count was conducted in the summer of 2024. We have received no other follow-up or supporting data. It remains unclear if traffic counts occurred during seeding or harvest, critical timeframes for our region. We have not received data related to large farm machinery in use at the Saskatoon RCUT. A rural intersection like Highway 1 and 5 cannot be compared to Saskatoon, where small vehicles dominate road use. Public input was rushed. Council was honored to present a petition on behalf of concerned citizens from both the municipality of North Cyprus Langford and the town of Carberry. Due to time constraints, little discussion was had when presenting it. We hope Minister Naylor and MIT staff took the time to review it in full, as it represents real concerns and real voices. Consultants did their job, but the site is wrong. Council does not dispute the conclusions. The consultants were tasked with finding the safest design, and they delivered what they were hired to do. However, just because this is the safe design does not mean it is the right location for it. Safety must be balanced with the functionality, geography, and local realities. PR 351 concerns. Provincial Road 351, which will see increased traffic as a result of the RCUT design, is nowhere near minimum MIT standards. With narrow 10 to 11-foot lanes, rolling hills, multiple crossings, and no shoulders, this road is dangerous. The risk has simply been moved from one intersection to 20 miles of underbuilt highway, now expected to carry large trucks and equipment. In closing, this community has already endured a terrible tragedy at this intersection. While time will help ease the heartache, forcing an unpopular and ill-fitting design upon the residents of this region will leave lasting frustration and resentment. After nearly 2 years of discussions and delays, we believe asking for more time to find the right solution is not only reasonable, it's in the best interests of the provincial government. The people who live and work here deserve a genuine say in decisions that directly affect their safety, livelihood, and infrastructure. And BP celebrates 30 years of giving. The Beautiful Plains Community Foundation held its annual grant presentation luncheon on June 19th. This year, the foundation handed out $284,312 in grants to 60 organizations within the region. By Joshua Jackson. Members of the community, not-for-profits, and local organizations packed art forward last week for the Beautiful Plains Community Foundation's, BPCF, annual grant presentation luncheon. For 30 years, the Beautiful Plains Community Foundation has helped local organizations by developing permanent endowment funds, making responsible grants, and acting as a catalyst for community philanthropy and leadership. BPCF was founded in 1985 and has accumulated more than $4.2 million in assets through fundraising efforts and donations. This year, the foundation handed out $284,312 in grants to 60 organizations within the region. The grants were broken into 4 categories. NACTV Youth Advisory Committee grants totaled $3,000, donor-advised and throw-through grants totaling $14,945, BPCF designated grants totaling $132,254, and Thomas Sell Foundation grants through the Thomas Sell Fund at the Winnipeg Foundation totaling $22,904, and BPCF community grant funds of $111,209. Some of the big grants passed out during the event included $66,720 to the Neepawa Health Centre, over $25,000 in cumulative grants to the Neepawa Personal Care Home, $40,000 to the Neepawa District Centennial Project Committee, $10,000 to the Neepawa Pickleball Association, and nearly $7,000 to the Beautiful Plains Museum. Throughout the BPCF's 30 years, they have given out over $2.5 million in grants to the community. And a volleyball event supports Neepawa Habitat by Kyra Kaspic. The gymnasium was filled with energy, sportsmanship, and community spirit on Saturday, May 31st, as 8 enthusiastic adult volleyball teams came together to bump, set, and spike for a great cause, supporting Habitat for Humanity. Neepawa. The tournament was a fun-filled day of friendly competition, but more importantly, it showcased what can be achieved when a community comes together to support a meaningful cause. The event, organized by Kira Kaspic and Hannah Kaspic, was held to raise funds for Habitat for Humanity, Neepawa's ongoing efforts to provide affordable housing for local families. This incredible day would not have been possible without the teams who signed up, showed up, and played their hearts out. To all 8 teams, thank you. Your participation made this tournament not only possible, but truly successful. From the first serve to the final point, your energy, enthusiasm, and community spirit brought this event to life. Without you, none of this could have happened. A huge and sincere thank you is also extended to TIC Parts and Service, whose generosity took the tournament's impact to the next level. TIC Parts and Service is matching the total tournament donation, an incredible gesture that reflects their strong commitment to giving back and supporting the community. Their involvement made a significant difference and is a shining example of local businesses' leadership. Their support is both generous and inspiring. We'd also like to recognize and thank the volunteer scorekeepers who donated their time to help keep the games running smoothly. Your support behind the scenes played a vital role in making the event a success. Events like these are a reminder of how much can be accomplished when people work together toward a common goal. Thank you to everyone who helped organize, play, and contribute. Your involvement is helping to build more than homes. You're helping to build a stronger Neepawa. And we'll just go to here. And the Tigers Fight Cancer gives back to the community. The NICI Hockey hand out cash from its annual fundraiser. And graduating players for the Neepawa Tigers, along with the coaching staff, delivered checks and donations to the chemo unit at the Neepawa Health Centre and to Victoria Quilt Neepawa by Owen Devereux. Over the past half-decade, the Neepawa Tigers Hockey Club has established an off-ice tradition that will be remembered long after any of their wins or losses on the ice. On Thursday, June 19th, graduating members of this year's team, along with coaches, presented a combination of checks and equipment to local cancer care programs. In total, $5,700 was raised and distributed to the chemo unit at the Neepawa Health Centre, Memorial Hospital, and Victoria Quilts Canada, Neepawa chapter. A portion of that money is also placed in the NACI fund, which was established 2 years ago to support families with children battling cancer. The money that was raised came through the annual Tigers Fight Cancer fundraiser, which is held every January. Efforts include a variety of fundraisers from the players and team supporters, including a progressive 50-50, as well as a 50-50 during one of the NACI's home games. The players also wear a special pink cancer awareness jersey for the game. This is the 6th year that Tigers Fight Cancer has been staged and has now surpassed the $20,300 in the total funds raised. The future is in good hands. For this year's donation to the Neepawa's chemo unit, the support arrived in the form of some much-needed equipment for the space, including a new office chair. Christina Woodcock, the manager of health services, thanked the Tigers for their support. She said it is great to see young people so passionate about supporting their community. This is a community that's absolutely dedicated to improving healthcare access, and it's incredible seeing these young people follow the lead that the community has put out there. They do it through volunteerism, activism, and through financial contributions and just giving their time. I think that seeing the youth combining all these things is really showing us the future is in good hands, noted Woodcock. As for the Victoria Quilts, the local chapter received $2,000 to assist with the purchasing of materials. Victoria Quilts Canada provides handmade quilts to people living with a cancer diagnosis. By providing the quilts, they hope to bring physical and spiritual comfort to those affected, letting them and their families know that they are not alone in their struggle. Jacqueline Olmsted accepted the check on behalf of Victoria's Quilts and commended the Tigers for their generosity and being such a good example to others. It's about empathy, and it's about seeing the importance of giving back to your community. It's wonderful seeing them take those types of lessons to heart, Olmsted said. Diane Nordstrom of Victoria Quilts Neepawa also reached out to the Banner and Press, stating that the local club was incredibly grateful for these young athletes who used their love for hockey to raise much-needed funds for cancer care in Neepawa. It's a true honor to be one of the recipients. The team understands just how powerful a quilt can be for someone battling cancer. It's not just a blanket. It's a symbol of love, comfort, and unwavering support. Something we're proud to be part of. Tigers co-coach Troy Brister said that over the past 6 years, the Tigers Fight Cancer program has taken on a life of its own, as it has reached a point where it is viewed as a well-respected team tradition. It's amazing when we have our parents' meeting just at the start of the year, and when we ask the volunteers, it's the first list that's filled. The players as well have seen what this has done over the years, and they look forward to taking up the responsibility. It's something they are proud to be part of. And Hayden Delaloy excels in his first college golf season, by Joshua Jackson. Neepawa's Hayden Delaloy featured third from left in the picture, and his teammates on the Southeast Community College Bobcats finished 9th in the nation at the NJCAA Division II Golf Championships. Local golfer Hayden Delaloy has wrapped up a successful freshman year at Southwest Community College in Lincoln, Nebraska, where he has already made significant strides toward his goal of golf greatness. Delaloy, who is taking business classes, was enticed to attend the school in the United States to further his golf game. It was a big step from high school to college golf. It's a lot more of a team sport down here. It was more competitive than high school golf, he explained. I had a blast with all of my teammates and all the teachers. It was a change from high school, but it was pretty similar. I went to a school that felt like home, so it's pretty similar in that aspect, he said. The golfer felt that going down southeast was the best way to grow his game, as all of the big golf schools are mostly down in the States, and you have the ability to golf year-round down there. The student has taken his major in business seriously while pursuing his golf dreams. In his first year of studies, Delaloy made the dean's list for a GPA over 3.5. During his time, Delaloy has made plenty of friends and had a lot of fun experiencing different golf courses and getting to travel across the country. He said his golf game has substantially grown, but this year was a learning year for him. I started decently in the fall, a little inconsistent there, but it got better. Towards the spring, I felt I was doing good. I did pretty well in my first tournament. I didn't keep a good momentum, and I struggled a lot. Then we got to nationals, and the first 2 rounds were fairly okay, but they were tough conditions, he added. I ended up getting subbed out of the third round, which was good because my teammates for districts ended up shooting at 75 in the final round, and I got subbed out and ended up shooting 73 in the final round. At the 2025 NJCAA D2 Men's Golf Championship, the Southeast Community College team placed 9th in the event, while Delaloi individually finished in 11th place. He said it was a great learning experience. In the first 2 days, we had 5 rain delays, so they were out in like 6 in the morning with the rain delays. Some people didn't finish, said Delaloi. It was a different atmosphere, seeing all of the best teams in the nation at the JUCO level and seeing how they prepared themselves. I learned a lot from that tournament, and I will use it to help myself next year. The golfer said this year wasn't his best, but it was a good first year getting used to everything, and has set some goals for next season. I set a goal for our team to get top 10 at nationals last year, seeing that we're all freshmen and only 2 of us there were sophomores. I think a great goal for ourselves is top 5 or even top 3 this year at nationals, he noted. Now that Delaloi is back for the summer, the athlete is working at his family's restaurant and plans to continue to grow his game over the summer. I'm doing the men's amateur at the Southwood in Winnipeg, and then, if I can, I might do a couple of Prairie Scratch Tours events, and then the men's amateur and club championship to see if I can keep up the competitiveness there and try to keep my game competitive, said the golfer. During Delaloy's first year down south, one thing he said he missed the most about being home was his family. I'd always call them while I was down there, and my dad had a chance to come out in November. We attended a Husker football game, which was insane. They told us the stadium becomes the 3rd largest city in Nebraska when the football game happens because there are 90,000 plus people, said Delaloi. My family ended up closing this, coming down for districts to watch me, so that was fun. The family is probably the big one I missed, but I had friends down there, and that made me feel like I belonged. And Carberry wins big. Neepawa bounced back later. An update from around the Santa Clara Baseball League by Owen Devereaux. The Carberry Royals picked up a huge win on Friday, June 20th, beating the Neepawa Cubs 12-5. After starting the season with 0-3-2 record, the Royals went 3-1 in next 4 outings, which allowed the team to move up in standings to 3rd place overall. As for Carberry's win on Friday, Jared Bridges went 6 strong innings on the mound for Carberry and earned the victory. He had help from Dalen Creasy, who went 4 for 5 and a pair of runs scored. It was also a huge night for Joss McMillan, who went 3 for 4 at bat with 2 doubles, 3 RBIs, and 4 runs scored. There were no stats available from Neepawa. These 2 teams would be back at it on Monday, June 23rd in Neepawa. This game was a complete 180-degree turn from the previous match, as the Cubs dominated on the way to big 14-1 win. Neepawa pitcher Lincoln Murray threw a complete game 4-hitter, while Brad Wilson was a 2 for 4 at the plate with a triple and a pair of runs scored. With this result, the Cubs now climb into a tie with Carberry for 3rd place in the Santa Clara standings, with identical 3-5-2 records. Brad Wilson was 2 for 3 with a triple and 2 runs scored for Neepawa. Elsewhere around the league, Riley McBragg threw 6 innings of one-hit shutout baseball to lead the Plumas Pirates to a 7-0 win over Minnedosa on Monday night. He also struck out 10 batters in his 6 innings of work. The win improves Plumas' record to 6-3-1, while the Mavs fall to 2-5-3. Meanwhile, the Portage Padres staged a late-game rally to defeat the Austin A's down 4-1 after 5 innings. The Padres scored a pair in the 6th and 2 more in the bottom of the 7th to win. Riley Borody hit a home run for Portage, his league-leading 4th of the year. The Padres have now improved 9-1-0, while Austin draws dropped to 3-8-0 on the season. And Neepawa Gladstone Co-op hosts its annual meeting by Owen Devereaux. While 2024 was a year full of challenges, our local Neepawa Gladstone Co-op was able to pass through uncertainty and stay positive in 2025. The local cooperative hosted its annual general meeting on Tuesday, June 17th at Arts Forward Building in Neepawa. The gathering featured reports from Jason Sumner on behalf of the Board of Directors, along with Co-op General Manager Brian Headley. In his report, Headley stated that co-ops across Western Canada dealt with an array of issues beyond their control, such as broad rail and fuel supply disruptions. Closer to home, he acknowledged last year's cybersecurity incident did temporarily disrupted some local projects and operations. But despite those challenges, Headley noted staff and management were able to overcome and keep our local co-op progressing forward. Throughout the 2024, the dedication, collaboration, and ingenuity of the co-op retailing system people shone brightly. Together, we demonstrated what it means to be a cooperative, making decisions rooted in our values and staying committed to serving our members and our committees, said Headley. A breakdown of numbers. For 2024, the total sales year over year were down slightly from $113 million to $112 million. The previous year was a record-setting one for the co-op, however, so the decrease is not seen as a long-term issue. As well, in 2024, there were 423 new memberships purchased, which was down from 492 the previous year. Patronage refunds were allocated to the membership in the amount of $839,000. A divisional breakdown. Food division. Gladstone food sales increased over last year and also currently well ahead of budgets for the year. As well, the purchasing margins, which were an issue for all co-ops last year, have made a great recovery. The management and staff worked hard to keep expenses in line, which provided a very solid profit for the food store in 2024, the report stated. In regard to the new Gladstone store, FCL is working on a smaller model for the food gas bar hybrid store. The process has been complicated due to the ongoing tariff trade wars. Much of the store products, merchandising stands, refrigeration are manufactured in the United States. Neepawa grocery sales had a good sales increase over the previous year and was slightly down from budget. The margins are similar to Gladstone, increased substantially over last year, and budget to provide a better bottom line. The meat and produce departments for both locations had strong sales increases, and a new partnership with High Life has been very beneficial for both companies. The Neepawa Home Center experienced a very busy year with sales close to budget. The newly expanded garden center was repainted and re-merchandised with new product lines. Gladstone farm and building sales were lower than budgeted, but the positive turn on the margins helped offset the effects. Still, the department did not make money once again, and management continues to look at new products and product lines to increase sales. Energy division. Liters at both locations remained very strong, but deflation reduced sales dollars to levels similar to previous years. The Fuel Good Day was a huge success again, as co-ops across Western Canada raised over $700,000 to support more than 200 community organizations. Car wash sales were extremely strong again, and as the washes at both the Automac and One Wash increased substantially. Bulk petroleum department leaders were similar, but sales were down due to the deflated pricing. This past year, the EMV at the Neepawa card lock, which allows the consumer to purchase fuel 24/7 by using their credit card. The card lock continues to be a tremendous success, with new leaders being added every month. Agro division. Both agros had a good year in sales and margins were stronger. Expenses were close to budget in Neepawa, but Gladstone experienced some unexpected expenses, so profit was down from last year. In Gladstone, the agro department fully rebuilt the granular fertilizer plant and upgraded fertilizer spreaders as well. A new larger skid steer was purchased to load granular fertilizer faster, and a large volume pump was added to the water tower. Extensive improvements were added to the crop protection shed on both the interior and exterior. Meanwhile, in Neepawa, an additional semi and Super B trailer were added to the fleet and a new high-clearance sprayer. Farm equipment has another extremely successful year with sales similar to the previous year. Marketing division. 2024 was a big year for marketing as the co-op celebrated our 95th anniversary. There was also the takeover of the naming rights of the Co-op Community Hall in Gladstone and co-sponsored with naming rights for the Manitoba Curling Junior Provincial Championship with the Co-ops of Manitoba. And there ain't no party like a Kiwanis Charter Party. Neepawa and Area Kiwanis Club officially receives its charter. By Owen Devereaux. Pictured Neepawa and Area Kiwanis Club President Angie Weisgerber on left celebrates the official receipt of the local club's charter. Our newest community group has reason to celebrate. On Friday, June 20th, as the Neepawa and Area Kiwanis Club officially received its charter, a ceremony formally marking the establishment of the club was held at the Arts Forward Cultural Centre and saw local president Angie Weisgerber accepted the certification from Western Canada District Governor McKenna Corrin. But the evening's festivities were not an overly formal or stuffy affair, as the occasion was more a reason to party, and party they did. Between 75 to 100 people attended the event, which also included several games of musical bingo with prizes handed out donated from several local businesses. It was a loud and boisterous evening of fun for all. Weisgerber noted that the night also served as a great first introduction of Kiwanis to the community at large. We were hoping it would be a success, and we're just thrilled with what we've been seeing so far. When organizing something like this, you just don't know how much interest there will be. So seeing so many people show up, it was some excitement, said Weisgerber. As for the receipt of their formal charter, Angie explained her happiness that a Kiwanis is now officially established in the area. She believes it will be a great contributor to Neepawa and the surrounding region. The inaugural board for the Kiwanis Club of Neepawa area and the inaugural board consists of President Angie Weisgerber, President-elect Jamie Ellis, Secretary Heather Brister, Treasurer Marna Van Wyck, Membership Chair Marcia Forg, and Directors Claire Brister, Diana Davidson, and Joanne Freeman. The main goal of Kiwanis International is to give community members an opportunity to help children, both locally and abroad, and to foster a positive influence in communities worldwide. In regard to the Neepawa area chapter, it will be a part of Kiwanis Western Canada's Division 2. That division is made up of clubs in Brandon, Gimli, and District, St. James, St. Boniface, St. Vital, and Winnipeg Incorporated. And let's see. Then we go back to the binning and see what we can find. Looking back, like 125 years ago, Arden, the council is letting the contract to erect a new bridge over the river. The 7-year-old son of Mr. Dan Campbell of the North End was the cause of quite an anxious and exciting time on Saturday night. The little chap had been running around during the afternoon and playing in the lumber yard. He did not go home at tea time, and inquiries were made for him without avail. No one had seen him after 6 o'clock. Fears were entertained that he had gone down to the creek, and a general search was instructed, which was continued till about 2 o'clock Sunday morning, when he was found in the lumber yard. The child had become tired out, had laid down between 2 piles of lumber, and was only awakened by hearing his name called out by the searchers. There had been quite a large number of persons interested in the search for several hours, and it was quite a relief when the boy was discovered safe and sound. 100 years ago, Bernie, a game of baseball was played in the park on Wednesday evening, a team from Riding Mountain playing the Mushrooms. Neepawa has been chosen as the meeting place in 1926 of the Grand Chapter of OES. This involves entertainment of approximately 200 delegates. Frank C. Pellet, field editor of the American Bee Journal, will address a gathering of beekeepers at Gladstone on July 14th in W. Murden's apiary. Those attending are requested to take up their veils, as hives will be open for the demonstration purposes. Several cases of smallpox have recently developed in towns, and the schools were closed a few days sooner than the usual holiday date. Thomas Grant, a pioneer of the Cordova and Franklin district for more than 20 years, passed away at the age of 81. 50 years ago, Brookdale congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Charles Winslow, who celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary on June 20th. 20 years ago, 2005, the annual Manitoba Society of Seniors Games brought 1,450 competitors to Neepawa last week, and they participated in events ranging from snooker to contract brick and slow pitch. It was quite a party. West Nile virus is back for a 4th summer in a row. A dead crow in the rural municipality of East St. Paul, outside of Winnipeg, tested positive for the virus earlier this month. A Carberry bar owner, who says he lost thousands of dollars since the smoking ban took effect, wants the province to compensate with more money from video lottery terminals. To make his point, Jamie Bettle, owner of Spruce Woods Pizza and Sliders Lounge, is asking other business owners to join him in a day-long boycott of VLTs. Currently, business owners receive 20% of the revenue generated by VLTs. And John's Electric donates to the Salvation Army by Owen Devereaux. John's Electric in Neepawa has decided to celebrate a very special anniversary by supporting the community that has supported them for the past 5 decades. On Monday, June 23rd, the ownership and staff of John's donated an undisclosed cash amount to aid in the operation and expansion of our local Salvation Army. The contribution was given as part of John's Electric's celebration of its 50th year of service in Neepawa. Since 1975, the family-owned business has been serving the Neepawa and Westman area. As for the check presentation itself, the donation was collected by Community Ministries Director Amanda Nightingale, who thanked John's Electric for their support. John's Electric has been an incredible supporter of the Salvation Army through the years and are always so generous. And for them to honor us by giving a very generous donation in honor of their 50th anniversary is such a blessing, said Nightingale. It really shows how the heart of this business and how they really are local, supporting local initiatives, and we're so blessed to have them. John's Electric didn't wish to comment other than to note they are proud to be a part of the community for the past 50 years. And that concludes the reading of the Neepawa Banner and Press for Friday, June 27th, 2025, and I hope you enjoyed.